Alright, so if you look at your assignment sheet, this unit we have 5 days of lessons and then a review day. I did not put a quiz in here, but I'm thinking our quiz is going to be on day 4. Okay, I will, like if you're going to write it down, write it in pencil, quiz, but I'll let you guys know for sure next class. Have plenty of time to prepare for it. Okay, so what we're doing this unit is linear graphing and regression. You guys have absolutely seen some of this stuff. We're all going to put emphasis on certain words. Like I know you guys have seen x-intercept, which means you have a root, a zero, and a solution. Those are the same exact words. Okay, they all mean the same thing. It is the point that crosses the x-axis. Your y-intercept is the point that crosses the y-axis. You guys have seen slope before, right? Please say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have to talk about rise over run. Know that you guys did that in Algebra 1 lesson. All right, take a look at the middle of your page here on the first day of notes. You have your slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Can you turn off that light or turn that to something else? Okay. All right, so out of this form, the M stands for what? Who remembers this? All right, that's our slope-intercept form. So the M is what? X. The M is your slope. And your B is going to be your y-intercept. I know you haven't seen this in about 2 years. Well, I know you saw it last year in geometry, probably a little bit. All right, and then you have standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. Okay, there's another way that we can write it. A, B, and C are normally our constants. And a constant is a number. All right, at the bottom of your day 1 notes, it says there are 3 ways to graph lines. The first way is method 1, that is through a table of values. So we have our slope-intercept form. All right, and it gives you directions on how to do this. Pick at least 2 numbers. I'm going to pick 3 for an x and plug them into your function. Let's do -1, 0, +1. Who needs a calculator? Coach, you have a calculator? Daniel, you have one?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's wait past 1 to David and then pass 1 to Coach. Okay, so you guys have all seen this. What this says is to plug it in. Okay, this is my first method. If I plug in x into where I see it in my formula, that's basically y equals 2 times -1 minus 3. Type it into your calculator. What's 2 times -1 minus 3? -5. Okay? Let's do the same thing for my second value, which is 0. 2 times 0 minus 3. Put that in your calculator. What'd you get? -3. And then 2 times 1 minus 3. You should get -1. Do you guys all have these numbers on your paper? So now I'm going to plot them. Okay, if I were you, I know this is like numbered pretty weirdly. Just count the lines. All right, if I start in the middle at my origin, I'm going to go left -1. So I go over -1. This -5, my y value, is that up or down? Down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my first point. All right, 0, -3. 0 means I'm staying right here in the middle of my origin, and I'm going down 3. So right there. Anybody write this?
Yeah.
Then I have 1, -1. Go to the right 1, down 1. All right, so now that I have my 3 points, I can make a line. You guys just sketch the line on your paper. I have a little tool that I can make mine as perfect as possible, but it's never perfect. And there's my line. Should be a little easy. All right, turn the page. Now we're using slope and y-intercept. So we still have our slope-intercept form. We're going to identify the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, we're going to plot our b. Our b is our y-intercept, but that's also where we began. And then we're going to use our slope to move from b and to plot the next point. This is absolutely algebra 1, so I know you've seen it. David, what is my n in this situation? What's my slope?
Slope is -3 over 2.
-3/2. What David did was he looked and he said, I know that my slope is before my x. There we go. Well, Curtis, what's my b? What's my y-intercept? +5. All right, so now that I know that my y-intercept is 5, that's where I begin. Go to your y-axis, go to +5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make your point. And my slope tells me to go down 3 over 2. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3 over 2. 1, 2, 3 over 2. And then I'm going to connect the dots as best as I can. So let's pull it off. Okay, here's my line. All right, there's one more method at the bottom of the page, using your x and y intercepts. In order to do this, you have to have it in standard form. You may not use this method often, but I have to teach it to you, and especially if you go into Algebra 2, you will use this. Your standard form. What we have to do is we make sure that it's in standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. And then to find your x-intercept, you're going to plug in 0 for your y. And then to find your y-intercept, you're going to plug in 0 for x. So it's kind of like flip-flopping. Write down what I write down. Here's our formula, or our equation. 2x minus 5y equals 10. Where do I put the 0 if I'm looking for my x-intercept? Into y. So I have 2x minus 5 times 0 equals 10. All right, and now I solve. What's 5 times 0? 0. So we have 2x minus 0 equals 10. I'm not going to add 0 to both sides because I don't have that much space. But I'm just going to pretend I'm doing it. So I'm left with 2x equals 10. What is x going to equal? 5. We all understand where that 5 came from. Okay. Skipping steps, but only so I can have enough space. So Joanna, to find my y-intercept, I'm going to plug in 0 for what? Oh. 5? Yep, wait. We're looking for the y-intercept, so I plug in 0, looking for the x for the y, for the x. So I have 2 times the 0 minus 5y is equal to 10. 2 times 0 just gives me 0. If I add 0 to both sides, it stays 0, right? So I have negative 5y equals 10. What am I going to divide by? Negative 5. Some of you were forgetting that negative on your test. Okay, so I have my x-intercept and I have my y-intercept. Is your axis going to be vertical or horizontal? Think about holding both. Vertical, right? You guys see my x-axis over here? It's going vertical. I'm going to put a dot on 5. I'm also going to go to my y-axis and put a point on negative 2. And now we have our line just like we've been doing. And you can connect the dots. All this is familiar to you, right? All right, number 2. Same thing. I'm going to plug in for my x-intercept. I'm plugging in 0 for y. So I'm left with 4x plus 0 is equal to negative 12. If I have 4x is equal to negative 12, what is my x going to equal? What do we do there? Anybody? 4x divided, 4x is equal to negative 12. How do I solve that? Divide by 4. So what is x going to equal? Negative 3. Alright, let's do the last one, y-intercept. I'm plugging in 0 for my x. I'm solving for y. And I'm left with 0 plus 6y is equal to negative 12. If I have 6y equal to negative 12, how do I solve for y? Divide by what? You should get y is equal to negative 2. Let's go ahead and plot those points. My x value is going to be negative 3. My y value is negative 2. Then I'm going to sketch that line. Okay, there are some special cases. Our special cases are like numbers 3 and the 4th one. Who knows what HOI stands for?
Is that the y-axis?
Yep. What's that H stand for though? Horizontal. What's that 0 represent? Huh? Something with the slope. Okay. Our HOI is basically horizontal, 0 slope, and then y equals. Okay. That's what we need to know for horizontal graphs. Bugs reminds me of vertical, undefined slope, and then x equals. You guys remember that? Alright, so if I have y equals, then it's going to be horizontal or vertical? Horizontal, okay, so I go to +3. This is where it gets confusing. You guys have to recognize, because it's y equals, I put my 3 on the y-axis, and my line is going to be horizontal. That's why we love to use POI, so it can remind you. A lot of you guys like to draw vertical lines. The same for the last one. X is equal to -2. I go to -2 on my x-axis. What kind of line do I draw? A vertical line, straight up, straight down. All right, any questions on that? Okay, I want you guys to take a 5-minute break. Everyone needs to at least stand up. I know it's a Monday. They're updated. All right, so, all right, graphing a linear equality. Well, I just showed you guys the 3 methods, right? I like to just solve for y. You can also put it in your calculator. We're not going to use Desmos yet. We'll use it later. So I want to make sure you guys know how to do this. You go to other units. But always make sure it's in y equals. Okay, that's going to be the easiest, most efficient way because you guys are good at solving. Look at number 1. For these problems, I want you to write what I write. Okay, don't try to skip anything. What is my n?
1.5.
1/2. What's my b?
-4.
-4. Are we all good there? All right, look at my inequality sign. We just did inequalities. Is that greater than or less than? It's greater than. Okay? Where the bigger side is. So if it's greater than, will it be a dotted line or a solid line?
It's a
No.
dotted line.
Why is it dotted?
Because it doesn't have an equal to.
Okay, good. Who just yelled out solid?
Huh?
I thought someone yelled out solid line. Okay, so everyone knows it's dotted. Write that down. So if it's dotted and it's greater than, do I shade above or do I shade below? If it's greater than, I'm going to shade above. Write that down. The reason why I want you guys to write it down is because if you see it and if you know that you're making that actual effort to write it down, it sticks in your mind a little bit more. Okay? So, let's start with my slope. Sorry, my y-intercept. I go down to -4. Make a dot. My slope is 1, 2. So that means I'm going to rise how many?
Up 1 and then
And then,
2.
okay, good. So let's go up 1 over 2, make a dot. Up 1 over 2, make a dot. As long as you have 3 dots, that's okay. If you want to make 4, that's on you. All right, we know it's a dotted line, right? So let's draw a dotted line through my points. And then I'm going to shade above. And you guys need to shade all of this. Okay? You don't have to color it completely, as long as I can tell that it's shaded. These problems, I think that you guys understand. The problem is when it's on a test, sometimes you guys get points off because one of these 4 things aren't done. Either your y-intercept is off, or your slope is off, or you didn't do dotted line, or you didn't shade above. So let's make sure that we're focusing on each thing one by one. Number 2, is that in y equals? No, but I want to get it in y equals, okay? So, you guys have space off to this, oh yeah, you have plenty of space. And that space off to the side, let's go ahead and solve for y. I'm going to do it under my graph here because I don't have space to do this. And we're gonna solve it just like we did last unit. Let's solve for y. How do I solve for y here? What needs to go? Yeah, let's want to do 2x. I'm gonna subtract 2x from both sides. And I'm left with negative 4y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 12. Okay, now how do I solve for y?
Divide.
Divide by negative 4 on both sides. What happens when I divide by a negative?
You flip the sign.
You flip your sign. So let's go ahead and flip that sign. And I'm going to break this up. What's negative 2 divided by negative 4? You multiply it. Negative 2 divided by negative 4. 1/2. So 1/2 x. And then what is positive 12 divided by negative 4? What kind of 3? Negative 3. Okay, so this is my answer. This is what I'm going to be using to analyze. All right, 1/2 x minus 3. So what's my slope? 1/2. What's my y-intercept? Negative 3. Greater than or, sorry, dotted or solid?
Dotted.
Careful.
Oh, solid.
Solid. I know you guys know this stuff. That's what happens in your test too. You go too fast. So it's greater than, above or below?
Above.
Above. Do you guys recognize how if you're going too fast and you don't flip your sign, you're not going to be shading above, you're going to be shading below. Okay, so be careful with that. All right, let's go ahead and let's fill this out. All right, my y-intercept is negative 3. I go down to negative 3. My slope is 1/2, so I go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. I have a solid line. So I'm going to make that line as solid as I can. And then I'm going to shade above. Oh, it's 60. Any questions on numbers 1 and 2? All right, on numbers 3 and 4, these are special cases. I don't have a y-intercept. Well, let me take that back. I don't have a slope. Okay, so I'm not going to have all these things that I've had before. My y-intercept is going to be wherever I'm crossing the y-axis. It says y is positive 3. I go to positive 3.
Solid.
It is going to be a solid line. Good. Joanna, will I shade above or below?
Above.
Above. Why?
Because it's greater than.
Because it is greater than. Will this line be horizontal or will it be vertical?
Straight.
Well, it should be straight. Vertical or horizontal? Do I have point or do I have both? Horizontal, good. And I'm going to shade above. All right, number 4. X is less than negative 1. Will it be dotted or solid line? It'll be dotted because it's just less than or equal to. In this case, it's less than. And will I shade above or below? Below.
Wait, how do you know if it's above or below?
Because if it's less than, then I shade lower than the line.
Oh,
If it's greater than, I shade above the line. So I'm gonna go to my x-axis, which is right here, to -1. Will this be a vertical or a horizontal line?
Vertical.
Vertical, good, for the bucks. And I'm going to draw, actually, I'll change my color here. I'm going to draw my dotted line here. And the way we look at this line is kind of from left to right, but if I shade below, okay, hold on. This can get tricky. Okay. Which one is below is basically, let's think about this. This is saying x is less than -1, right?
it's like,
So I need to, which side is less than -1? More negatives or the positives?
Negatives.
The negatives, so we're gonna go this way. And the reason why you have to kind of think about that is only with the special cases, when you have bucks and you have toy. And also, it kind of tells you which side. You see how this graph is pointing that way? Okay, that means it's including all of these numbers on that side. Same thing here. Y is greater than +3, so all these numbers above are positive. All right, number 5. Did you guys realize on your test it was the same problem that we did in the homework?
Yeah.
Okay. I was a little disappointed with some of you, but most of you got it together. So come on, people, we're so close. All right, number 5. Kelly wants to replace the flooring in her house with a combination of carpet and hardwood flooring. I'm going to highlight, you can underline if you want, or there's highlighters on the side over there. But she cannot exceed a budget of $7,730. The carpet she likes has a cost of $1 per square foot, and the hardwood she likes has a cost of $12 per square foot. I just highlighted everything that's important to me. Okay, so let's say that we are going to call X the carpet, and Y will be the hardwood. It says write an inequality in standard form that describes the situation. In standard form means that it needs to be like AX plus BY. We'll have an inequality here. We won't have an equal sign, you can see. All right. Let's look at my X's first, my carpet. How much is the carpet per square foot? $1. So let's say 1X. Does that make sense? I'm not going to put the dollar signs because that's going to be too confusing if we're just making an equation or an inequality. Okay, and I'm adding, and I'm doing carpet and hardwood. How much is the hardwood per square foot? $12. So that's going to be 12 what? 12 what? Good. When it says that it cannot exceed $7,000, will that be
equal.
greater than or less than? We're doing inequality. Less than? Like this?
Yeah. Oh, greater. No.
If I can't exceed this amount,
Less than.
so we should leave it, right? Because if I flip that, that means that this could be $10,000, right? It has to be greater than. We can't go higher than what they gave us. Does that make sense why that's our inequality sign? And honestly, guys, what you're gonna have to do is just like write it out and look at it and think about it and then flip it. Okay? Because then if you think about it and you say, okay, well, that's the most money I can have, this number has to be less than or equal to this dollar amount. Okay, that's why the equal sign is there, because it says it cannot exceed. Can it be equal to this number? Yes, it just can't go higher than it. All right, so the letter A is done. Letter B says, how much carpeting can she afford if she buys 500 square feet of hardwood flooring? What do I have to plug in here?
500.
500 for what?
Firewood.
Instead of Y, right? That's all I'm plugging in because that's all they told me so far. And I'm looking for X, which is my carpet. Look, Curtis, in your calculator, can you do 12 times 500? You got 6,000, good. And this is exactly what we did last unit that we quizzed on or tested on. All right, how do I solve for X here? Yeah, let's subtract 6,000 from each side. Make sure you guys are copying the work exactly as I have it. So that means I'm left with 1x less than or equal to, Curtis was 7,730 minus 6,000.
1730.
17, what'd you get?
30.
Yeah, 1730. And if you want to divide by 1, you can, but we know x is less than or equal to 1730. So off to the side where it says how much carpeting can she afford, she can afford to spend, write this sentence down, up to $1,730 on carpet. Kim, thanks for those shirts. Those are cool.
It's not like I said, I have a cool kid that needs shirts.
Yeah, and we see them today, so.
These are the cool shirts. The rest are going to the donate pile, so I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, these are cool.
I'm glad you personally picked them out. All right, does that make sense how we just did that problem?
Yes.
All right, good. I want you guys to work on these 6 practice problems, and then we're going to go over the answers. Okay, I'm going to put the answers up for the first 3. Check your answers as I'm doing it. A solid line, sorry, a dotted line for this one. Shade on this side. How do you guys feel on that one? The second one, your M was -5, your B was 1. Over, down 5 over 1. Nothing to shade on the second one. On the last one, I solved for y, and I got y is equal to positive x plus 2. So my m was 1, my b was 2. equal sign, so there's nothing else to do there. Then we're doing the first three. Michelle, was it just like one part that was confusing, or what was it?
I can plot it. I just. I don't even know.
Are you struggling with the shading part?
No.
Alright, I'll take a look at when we're done with this. Alright, did everyone else check these three? You may or may not have been able to get to these. Did you guys get this far at all? Okay. Figured you did not. So we'll stop there. We'll go over these next time. We'll do that as a warm up.